Thank you for joining me today.
Wow, you're covered in wounds.
What we were watching
and I want
is
people
the
to see like what's going on,
Homeland
like,
Security Committee from the House of Representatives.
the type of stuff they're doing.
We're watching DHS leadership.
What happened to Ms.
testify
Martinez,
today.
Ms. Good, and Mr. Preety is a scourge on this
Minority
country,
Leader.
a shameful chapter in our nation's history. But
Congressman, I can't think of his name
there's
right
more.
now. It'll pop into my head.
DHS
He's speaking right
agents
now. He's doing his
recently
opening statement.
Used a 5-year-old Ecuadorian boy, Lehman Ramos, as bait to lure his family members outside their home to arrest them. The family had entered the country legally as asylum seekers and were living in Minnesota while awaiting their immigration proceedings. DHS sent the little boy and his father to detention in Texas for over a week. Thankfully,
Hey, Lacey.
a judge
How are you?
ordered him
Thank you,
released,
Lacey. Thanks for being here.
slamming DHS for
As
its,
always,
and I
thank you
quote,
for being here.
incompetently implemented
Just kind of getting myself
deportation
straightened out.
Incompetently implemented deportation campaign is putting it nicely, especially as it relates to small children. More apt in the Bible, quote from John 11th chapter.
Hey, 305 all day. How are you?
referenced at the end of the judge's opinion, Jesus wept. DHS personnel are now forcing their way into private homes without a judicial warrant in violation of the Fourth Amendment. In one recent incident, ICE dragged a U.S. citizen from his home at gunpoint in underwear before realizing they had picked up the wrong person. The person ICE was actually looking for was
Hey, Tori,
sitting
how are
in
you?
jail in Minnesota. The Minnesota Department of Corrections says that ICE had this information all along. Bystander videos from Minneapolis and cities around the country show ICE and CBP personnel behaving like unprofessional goons, cursing
About
at
sums it up.
bystanders and mooning people from their hotel rooms.
That sets it up.
News reports have a Border Patrol agent
Congressman Thompson.
was found passed out, drunk, and covered in vomit in a vehicle. And ICE personnel apparently stole a child's phone and sold it for cash. It's an embarrassment, and DHS's so-called leadership should be ashamed.
100%.
If only they had any shame. Secretary Noem, Department of Homeland Security, has the blood of American citizens on its hand, but she takes no responsibility for anything.
Of course not.
To the contrary, Secretary Noem was last seen in this committee room hiding behind her family in a desperate attempt
Yeah,
to
what a coward she is.
distract from her
What a
department.
coward. Remember that hearing? We covered it, guys.
Then she ran from our questions, leaving early under the guise of needing to attend a meeting that it turns
This
out
hearing is going to
didn't
be
even
like that. I
exist.
think we're in for something.
Her inexcusable behavior should come as no surprise.
Hey, Sam.
She's always been more concerned with photo ops and wardrobe changes
Amen,
than following the
Amen.
law and fulfilling the mission of her department.
Amen, Congressman.
Since being sworn in, Secretary Noem has enriched herself, abused the power of her office, obstructed congressional oversight, and violated her oath to the Constitution.
No doubt. Without question.
Donald Trump and Kristi Noem are doing real damage to this country and to the department that was stood up 25 years ago in the wake of 9/11 to protect American citizens from future attacks.
Amen.
Secretary Noem is a liar with no concern for the lives of Americans killed by the department she runs. She must go. Mr.
I agree.
Chairman, I yield back.
It's a great speech, Lacey. I agree
Yields
with you.
back. Other members of the committee are reminded that opening statements may be submitted for the record. I would now like to formally introduce our witnesses. First is Mr. Rodney Scott. Mr. Scott is Commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection. After decades of service at CBP, including a stint as Chief Border Patrol, he has served as a Senate-confirmed commissioner since June of 2025.
June of
Second
2025.
is
What a
Mr.
long
Joseph
tenure
Edlow.
he's had.
Mr. Edlow is Director of Citizenship and Immigration Services. Director Edlow has served in numerous legal roles across executive branch and Congress, including Chief Counsel to USCIS. Mr. Edlow has served as the Senate Confirmation Senate confirmed director since July 2025.
July 2025,
Third is
another
Mr. Todd
seasoned
Lyons.
veteran.
Mr. Lyons is the acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Acting Director Lyons began his federal service in the U.S. Air Force in 1993 and joined ICE as an agent in 2007. Mr. Lyons moved up the ranks and has served as acting director since March of 2025. Thank all the witnesses for being here today. Pursuant to Committee Rule 8C, I ask that the witnesses please rise and raise their right hand.
Now, while they are getting
I
sworn in,
solemnly swear that the
shut
testimony
the
you will
fuck
give
up. They're
before
going to
the
lie
Committee on
anyway.
Homeland Security.
Shut up. While they're being sworn in, the way I like to watch these things, those of you who've joined me, I appreciate you being here. Only way I can tolerate it is I have sound effects and I'll use them. For example.
Donald Trump and for Donald Trump's stable, very, very large brain.
So when the Republicans speak, it's hard to listen to them. So that's when you'll mostly hear the sound effects. Let's listen to what Rodney Scott is going to tell us.
Law enforcement personnel that selflessly provide this service to America increasingly perform under difficult conditions and intense public and political scrutiny. But these brave men and women deserve our gratitude and thanks. It's my privilege to be here
Have you
today
seen a
joining my
single
colleagues from
video
Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Citizenship and
ICE
Immigration
getting
Services?
the shit beaten out of them?
Our agencies work in partnership
I don't know
to
what's so
secure the
fucking
homeland
hard for
and
them,
uphold the
but that's
integrity
just
of our
me.
immigration system. CBP has spent the last year rebuilding what was an intentionally broken border. As I informed Congress in 2021 and again in 2023, the open border policies of the Biden administration all but eliminated any meaningful border along this, and it replaced it with a porous geographic line defined by record high encounters with illegal aliens, overwhelmed facilities, and a workforce that was stretched so far beyond their capabilities that hostile nations and the cartels exploited our border at will. That all changed on January 20th, 2025, under the leadership of President Trump. We have now implemented effective policies, established unified priorities and objectives across all federal departments, and empowered our workforce to do their jobs by simply enforcing the laws that already
That's all they've
exist.
done, guys. They've just enforced
We
the
have
laws.
imposed consequences for those who break our laws, the laws that this body enacted. And today, the United States, because of these efforts, enjoys the most secure border in our nation's history. But this progress did not happen by accident. It's a result of a comprehensive approach to border security. We ended catch and release, we prioritized detention and removal authorities, and we sent a clear message that illegal entry into the United States will not be tolerated. And the numbers speak for themselves. We have achieved record low illegal crossings between ports of entry. Border Patrol apprehensions along the southwest border totaled over 90,000 for the entire year. That's a number that used to represent a single month under the Biden administration. Daily encounters have dropped by 95%, averaging about 250 per day, compared to 5,000 a day during the Biden administration. Our increased enforcement also resulted in the seizure of over 617,000
When, by the
pounds
way,
of
does it
illicit narcotics.
become
That's nationwide, an 8%
their
increase
problem,
over
right?
the prior
When does
year.
it become?
This included nearly
When
11,000
do we reach a
pounds of
point? We're
fentanyl
over a
and
year
more
into
than
this administration where
186,000 pounds of
what they
methamphetamines.
do.
This is what having
Shut
a
the
secure
fuck
border.
up. I can't talk. When does it become a problem? Whatever they do that's bad is their fault, right? When does that become an actual thing? When does it become the point? Republicans, I remember when Obama became president and then when Biden became president, Republicans, every time that they would blame Trump for something, when Biden became president, and every time that they would blame Trump for the awful economy because of how bad he fucked up COVID, right? From within weeks, this isn't the Trump pro. When does, they would always say, Republicans, when does it become when does it become Biden's problem? When is it Biden's economy? When is the immigration fucking debacle doesn't have the name Biden? Well, Biden did. Well, Biden did. Well, Biden did. Well, Biden let them all in. Well, Biden. All right. The Biden policy was too expansive. Fine. But when does the current fuck up become your fuck up? And when do it'll never happen. I'm just speaking rhetorically. When do chicken shit Republicans in the Senate and crazy and pretend crazy Republicans in the House suddenly stop talking about Biden and just Trump's situation? They will never. This will go on for 4 years, 3 years, 3 more years. Anyway, let me continue listening to this liar.
And agents are increasingly facing an unprecedented level of aggressive interference and intimidation.
No, they're not.
In
Fuck
executing
off.
the laws that you have asked them to enforce.
No, they're not.
These attacks on federal law enforcement personnel are coordinated and well-funded.
There have been
This
no
is not
attacks on
peaceful
federal law
protest.
enforcement personnel. We've
no
seen
law
no video
enforcement
of it.
officer
You
should be put
fuck
at personal risk simply for doing the job that we
There's no
have asked
personal
them to
risk
do.
to any of them.
I thank you for your
It's
continued
all
support of
lies.
CBP's mission, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I recognize Director Ed Lowe for 5 minutes to summarize his opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hang on,
Chairman
I'm going to go get a
Garbarino,
tissue
Ranking
while the
Member
liar is
Thompson,
lying.
and members of the committee. It is an honor to speak to you about the priorities and progress of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. I'm grateful for your partnership as we work together to uphold the rule of law, protect our citizens, and safeguard our homeland. Let me begin by expressing my appreciation to President Trump for his trust in me and to Secretary Noem for her leadership at the Department of Homeland Security. I'm proud to serve alongside a workforce that's deeply
He's not
committed
proud.
to advancing the president's agenda, protecting our communities, and restoring integrity to America's legal immigration
So this
system.
schmuck has been in the job since
As
July of
Director of U.S.
2025.
Citizenship and Immigration Services, my vision has been straightforward and clear. Restore accountability to our immigration system and ensure that it serves the interests of the American people first and foremost. Today, I want to highlight some of our most significant accomplishments.
Please do.
Ending the exploitation of immigration programs, putting American workers first, protecting our communities
does
from
American
public
workers
safety
have to do
threats,
with this?
protecting national security, and combating immigration fraud.
Okay.
Fraud isn't just a paperwork issue. It's a national security and public safety concern.
Yes. Yes.
Often those who wish to do us harm exploit weaknesses in our system. Over the past year, USCIS has made nearly 33,000 fraud referrals to law enforcement.
Wow.
A 138% increase over previous years. We conducted thousands of site visits to homes and workplaces and thousands of social media checks to ensure aliens aren't espousing anti-American sentiment. Moreover,
Oh yeah,
our
we
fraud
want to
detection
make
and
sure we go full Nazi. You know, we can't have since we do have a First Amendment that applies to citizens and non-citizens, freedom of speech. We want to make sure that no motherfucker says anything anti-American. Which, if you say Trump is an asshole, that would be anti-American. Fuck off. I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be mad, guys. This whole time, I'm going to try not to be mad, but I'm going to be mad.
cases in Minnesota,
Gamer
conducting
Gamer
thorough
Vet.
background
Awesome.
checks
Okay, I'll check
and
it out in a
in-person
little bit.
reviews. We've also strengthened our vetting policies. If someone falsely claims U.S. citizenship to get a public benefit or try to vote, we hold them accountable through
I know, all those voters too, right? I mean, we all know, migrants who fucking vote. Oh, I just want to pinch his cheeks. Just like, you are a liar. You are a liar. You are a bunch of liar. You white nationalist
Now we
dick
require
fuck. I'm
more
sorry.
frequent
I'm sorry.
renewals
It's going to be a
so
long...
that we can vet aliens more frequently and ensure that they deserve to remain in the country. Additionally, we've taken action
You
to
don't
end the
deserve to
exploitation
remain
of
in the
immigration
country.
programs. Mass humanitarian parole programs were being abused by the prior administration. So we've restored them to Congress's original intent, allowing those benefits on a case-by-case basis.
By the way, you notice
Secretary
they're all
Noem
white.
also
Just
ended
saying.
decades of temporary protected status for several countries, returning the program to what Congress intended: temporary protection, not permanent status in the United States.
No, dumb fuck.
Moreover-
No, dumb fuck. That's not how it works. The problem is we don't have enough fucking immigration judges to handle all of these temporary protected status cases, you shit for brains, glasses wearing. Nothing wrong with glasses. I wear them myself. I'm just mad. Little kind of mini pretend half-ass wannabe Nazi putz, liar, big-eared, I can't think of any other name. I don't even like your fucking tie guy. I mean, his tie's okay, but I'm not crazy about it. But that's not... People have temporary protected status like fucking Haitians because if they go back to fucking Haiti, they'll get killed instantly and immediately. And the reason we can't adjudicate all of their cases, we don't have enough fucking judges to do it. And Biden, although it was political, the Biden plan the immigration plan that Biden and the true bipartisan plan that would have passed the House if the village and the Senate if the village idiot didn't do, because it's going to ruin my opportunity to win the election, which is exactly what he did, would have provided fucking judges. So TPS, we don't have to go and send people to go back to countries to be tortured just because they've been stuck here and they haven't been able to get, their day in court.
Deficit reduction. Finally, protecting the American people is at the heart of everything we do.
Fuck off.
After the attack on 2 brave service members of the National Guard last November, Secretary Noem directed us to review immigration benefits for aliens from high-risk countries. In closing, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services is restoring integrity, accountability, and security
Just
to
low
America's legal immigration system.
caliber,
These accomplishments reflect the
low
dedication of our
quality
workforce
people
and the transformative leadership of President Trump and
poor
Secretary
moral,
Noem, both of whom have
poor
allowed USCIS
moral
to do the job it was created by Congress to do. We stand ready to continue working with Congress to protect the homeland and uphold the rule of law. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Director Udlow. I now recognize Acting Director Lyons for 5 minutes to summarize his opening statement.
Good morning. Chairman Garbarino, Ranking Member Thompson, distinguished members of the committee, thank you for the invitation to discuss the critical work U.S. Immigration and Customs is doing every day to carry out President Trump's agenda to keep America safe, restore order to our communities, and return the rule of law to this country. Under the leadership of President Trump and DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, the men and women of ICE have been empowered to do exactly what they're trained to do: arrest and remove illegal aliens and criminals from our communities. We are enhancing public safety, securing our national security, and finally restoring integrity to the immigration system that had been allowed to collapse. We have supercharged our partnerships with state and local law enforcement, empowering officers around the country through the 287G program to help ICE identify and remove criminal aliens. Those partnerships have increased more than 900% since President Trump took office, and our communities are safer for it. I am also proud of our agency's unprecedented hiring campaign that led to hiring of more than 12,000 officers and special agents in less than a year. And more than
Keep in mind,
222,000 individuals
was that
submitted
Gamer Vet
applications.
Dad? He was the kid in school
This
who sat in
expansion of
front of
a
the
well-trained
class
and well-vetted workforce
and told
will
the
help
teacher
further ICE's
about every
abilities
bad
to
thing his
execute
classmates
President's
did.
and
And
Secretary's
Todd
bold
Lyons
agenda.
sounds like your drunk uncle who sits
Before
in a chair
discussing
at Thanksgiving. saying,
our
"Pull my
broader
finger."
operations, I must address the situation in Minnesota and the dangers that ICE agents and officers face nationwide.
There are none.
While the investigations remain
There are
ongoing, I'm encouraged that some Minnesota officials are finally signaling the willingness to cooperate with ICE. But let me be
They
clear.
are not.
Promises
They are
not
not.
enough. We need
They
action.
are not. He's lying.
In the wake of the unprecedented border crisis of the previous
I heard,
administration,
I was in a press
ICE has
briefing
stepped into the
with
breach
Mayor
to enforce
Fry.
the law.
They are not
This
cooperating
commitment
with
has a
fucking
cost.
ICE.
We are facing the deadliest operating environment in our agency's history.
They are not. None of them have been killed.
In fiscal
None
year
of them have been
2025,
injured.
death threats
None of them
against
have been
ICE personnel increased
hospitalized.
more than 8,000%.
None of them have even had a
Assaults
fucking
on officers have
Band-Aid put
skyrocketed
on
over
them.
1,400%. One officer in Minnesota had his finger bitten off by a protester, egged on by elected
I don't believe
officials
that.
characterizing our
That's
offices
simple.
as the Gestapo of secret police.
Well, you are the Gestapo. So you are
The families
the
of
Gestapo leader.
personnel, ICE personnel, have been made to feel unsafe in their homes. I know this firsthand because my own family was targeted.
I don't believe that either.
But let me send a message to anyone who thinks they can intimidate us. You will fail. Despite these perils, our officers continue to execute their mission with unwavering resolve.
These guys
We
that
are only getting
beating
started.
the shit out of people
ICE
all over
remains
the
committed to the
Fuck off.
fundamental principles that those who illegally enter our country must be held accountable. Since the beginning of the second Trump administration, we have achieved historic results.
Who needs to
From
be held
January
accountable?
20th,
Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. I can't listen to him anymore for a minute. Keep in mind as we watch this. And again, my focus is, and look, guys, I get it. If you want to kind of watch it without my commentary and you want to be able to hear everything they say, I totally understand. And if you want to sort of bail and watch it directly, it's at cspan.org. I totally understand because I'd be interrupting because I don't have any self-control. But keep an eye on that panel because these are people who can and very well might be prosecuted when we have a Democratic president and a new attorney general. These are the people that are these Lyons and the other two goofballs. You can't that we know they're not going to be able to prosecute the idiot because the idiot has this absolute immunity to a certain extent through the Supreme Court. But this clown and the other two clowns and Kristi Noem and the people who are violating the human rights of other human beings and are breaking U.S. laws to allow these ICE Gestapo agents to do what they're doing, that is the face of an American Klansman, a modern American Klansman. That is the face of a modern American Nazi, right? That is the face of what they look like. That may be the face of who you see prosecuted in 2028.
Out of nearly 450,000 transferred from DHS to HHS custody were simply lost by the system. We are talking about children exploited in factories, abused in sexual trades, and living as indentured servants on American soil. HSI is leading the charge to find them. We have conducted more than 71,000 field engagements to locate children, verify sponsor
You were
legitimacy,
responsible.
and uncover
Fuck
criminal
off and
activity
shut up
related-
again. They were responsible, not him. Well, he was, for the reason that a lot of those children are in the position they were in because during the family separation policy, thousands, and then some were recovered, many were found, but many children were simply left with who the fuck ever. When Jeff Sessions and the village idiot Donald Trump were separating families during the first Trump administration. And then there was this rat fuck organizations that were feeding these kids out to supposedly Christian parents who wanted to have children or more children who couldn't. So a lot of these kids that he's talking about now who have been abandoned by the system, who are the victims of trafficking, very well could have been children who were left parentless during the first Trump administration. Let me just pull him back up.
These jurisdictions provided a shield for criminal aliens when a local jail refuses to honor ICE detainer and releases that predator back into the community.
The predators
ICE exists to enforce
those of you working
America's
with the
long-standing
pedophile
immigration
rapist.
and custom laws. These laws are grounded in common sense, national sovereignty, and simple morality. Our officers and agents enforce these without hesitation, without apology. I ask that all the members of the committee treat them with profound respect that they have earned. Thank you.
Yeah, I will happily
you,
tell them
Acting
to fuck
Director
off.
Members will be recognized by order of seniority for their 5 minutes of questioning. As we have when Secretary Noem was here.
So
we're gonna limit
Andrew
it to
Garbino is
5-minute
the,
rule. We'll be strict on that
I don't know who he is.
both
He's
sides.
the Republican
So do not be surprised if
chair of
you
the
go over, I
committee.
gavel you down. I now recognize myself for 5 minutes of questions.
All right, Cam. Andrew, let's see what you have.
Acting Director Lyons, I understand that you cannot discuss the details of the two recent shootings in Minnesota because they are subject of several investigations.
Of course not. Of course.
Including by the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, and the DOJ Civil Rights Division.
What about Minneapolis
Once concluded, will
State
you
and local
commit to
police?
providing the reports and findings of each investigation to this committee?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're fully committed to give you the full and unabridged investigation and the outcome.
Thank you. Commissioner Scott, can the committee have the same commitment from you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you both.
Sick
Commissioner
fucks.
Scott and Acting Director Lyons, following this hearing in writing, I'd like to know what is the standard operating procedure for each of your agencies for an investigation when deadly force is used. Currently, Acting Director Lyons, are those procedures being followed for the two uses of deadly force in Minneapolis this past January?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Were those, and Commissioner Scott,
Yes, sir, they are.
were the standard procedures followed from the beginning? Mr. Lyons?
Yes, sir, they were.
No, they were not.
Scott?
Yes, for CBP, they were as well.
Thank you very much.
I
We're
just have to adjust my
concerned
light.
about officer safety and have seen and heard about increasing threats and assaults against law enforcement. Director Lyons, are your officers trained regarding the difference between a protected protest and what is unlawfully impeding law enforcement?
Yes, sir. Deportation officers and special agents are taught at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. They are taught in defensive tactics, personal safety, but as well as laws to include First, Second, Fourth, Fifth, 10th, 14th Amendment. The officers are trained
For 47
before they go out
days.
into the
For
field
47
and while
days.
they're in the field. their specialized training in disturbance control and other special
And you
tactics.
train morons for 47
Commissioner Scott,
days.
are your
I can't
officers
imagine they
similarly
can
trained?
learn all that.
Yes, they are. At FLETC, ongoing training in the field, and then anytime we're deploying them to the interior, they get updated law refresher training to include First Amendment and Fourth Amendment.
Sure they do.
So I want to focus on the training here because with the historic investment in both ICE and CBP, there was a surge in hiring. I need to know, for these new hires, is the training different than what other agencies?
It's 47
and
days
officers
as opposed to
received
6 months.
before
It's
the
fucking
hiring
different.
surge? Mr. Lyons, I'll let you start there.
No, sir, it's not. The training was never, the meat of the training was never removed. The timeline was. We took training from 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, to 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. In addition to that,
No, it was
training is
47
different in
days
the
as
fact
opposed to
that
6
before
months.
officers even go to the Federal Law Enforcement Training Academy, there's pre-employment training, which we never had before. And on top of that, we've adapted our on-the-job training program, which is much like a city or state field training officer program that once they
Oh, so they get trained on the job,
are
too,
removed
these
from
idiots.
the Federal Law Enforcement Training Academy, have graduated. Before they return to their field offices, they're assigned a field training officer, and that's continued on after that.
So let me get this go. For ICE officers, the curriculum has stayed the same, but it's now a quicker
I
training.
can't even believe I'm hearing this.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, but the curriculum is the same.
Yes, sir.
Same curriculum. They get just as much training in
Commissioner
47
Scott,
days that they got in
Can you
6
talk about,
months.
if there's been a change
Amazing.
in training since the hiring surge?
There's been no change in the training within Customs and Border Protection. Border Patrol agents go through a 117-day academy. The CBP officers go through a 103-day academy. That's actually
Now remember,
training
CBP
days.
is an
There's been no
ICE, so
changes
that's
to
that's
the
probably
only
true.
change that has been made is in our quarterly training. We've added scenarios based on what we most likely think they will encounter in the field. So we've actually added some of the protest type encounters as well.
So there's been no change in the timeline either. Similar, ICE did that. You did not.
No, we did not.
Okay. And while this is nothing, because this is my last question, I'm sure. While understanding they are not suitable for every occasion, there's been a lot of talk about the use of deadly force. Are agents and officers equipped with and trained in the use of tasers or other less lethal alternatives to avoid the use of deadly force? And Mr. Director Lyons, I'll start with you, and then Mr. Scott, you can finish.
Yes, sir. Every deportation officer special agent are trained in secondary weapons, which include the taser, OC spray, and baton.
They're
And
trained
those are made available.
and they're equipped.
They're pretty good with the OC spray.
Scott?
They just
So
spray
a
it on
similar
everybody.
answer that all of our agents have to carry a secondary weapon. They trained at the academy, and then they go through quarterly refresher training every 3 months.
Okay, I appreciate it. I will have, I'm sure, for some follow-up questions today, and I will submit those to you in writing. But with that, I yield back, and I now recognize the ranking member for 5 minutes.
Oh, Bernie, please say,
Thank you very much,
please
Mr. Chairman.
fix that mess.
Mr. Lyons, how many ICE agents have cameras as of today?
Sir, as of today, more than 3,000 ICE officers have cameras that are active in the field, with another 6,000 being deployed, sir.
So
Uh-oh. Oh, fuck. Sorry, guys. The live stream just went out. Hang on. That happens on C-SPAN every so often.
Simplify
Sorry, I have to-
contracts with AI Assistant.
Have to have the commercial. I can't get
Clarify
around it.
content in a click and understand all the key terms. Just like that.
All right, come on.
Adobe
come on.
Acrobat.
All right, Adobe. Let's just get back to the thing here. Oh shit! I hope C-SPAN didn't lose the feed. Let me see if the networks have it. Let's see if the networks didn't lose it. I hope not.
out, 10,000 out of how many?
Out of 20,000 Border Patrol.
Can't stream it though
half of them.
through the networks.
Approximately, yes.
Darn.
So I'll
Sorry,
give
guys.
you a
Just give me a minute.
chance to look
I
at that,
apologize, guys.
Since you said approximately, and get back to the community.
Simplify contracts with AI
Not how
Assistant.
many you purchased.
Clarify
How
content in
many
a
as
click.
of this day.
Understood, and I will get you that number.
Thank you. Mr. Lyons, what's the regular timetable of training an ICE agent?
Sorry about that, sir.
I
Right now, the
apologize,
training
guys.
is
What happened is
47
C-SPAN
days
lost the
at
public
Federal Law
feed.
Enforcement Academy, Overall training is about
But the
3
news
months, sir.
feed is still coming through, but I can't.
So you went from
I
3
can't
months
show you the
to
news feed
47
because
days.
No,
they're like
sir, the whole
MSNBC
total
or MS
training
Now
to
because
include
my
the
streaming
pre-employment
software
training
blocks it. Oh,
and
here we
then
go.
the OJT
I think we're almost
program.
back.
Is 3 months and 47 days in the Federal Law Enforcement Training Academy.
So they go to Flexi for 47 days or for 3 months?
No, sir. You asked for the total training time. The total
Adobe
training time
Acrobat
now
Studio
is
is on
about
you.
3 months, sir, with
PDF
47
services with
days
I'm
at the
sorry,
Federal
guys,
Law
about this.
Enforcement Training Academy.
So you didn't reduce the timeline for any of the ICE agents to come on board?
We reduced the timeline for the previous certified federal law enforcement officers or special.
We're back.
So you didn't reduce the timeline for any of the ICE agents to come on board?
We reduced the timeline for the previous certified federal law enforcement officers or special agents, where we went to the ones who are already trained in firearms and defensive tactics and criminal procedure. We adapted to a shorter program so they would just have the extensive Immigration Nationality Act training, immigration law, and ICE-specific training.
So if you hired somebody for ICE today, how much training would they receive before they become a full-time agent?
So for a person off the street who has never been a law enforcement officer, they're looking at approximately 3 months of training, sir.
And the 47 days is for who?
That is for everyone that hasn't, who's never worked for ICE, sir. So you could have someone that's a Capitol Police officer. They would not have to go through extended training for when it comes to defensive tactics, firearms, et cetera. They would have to go through the rigorous immigration training, which unfortunately immigration law is just as confusing and long as tax code, which we have to ensure that we devote that extensive time to.
Thank you so much. But
Yes, sir.
would you provide the committee with the timeline?
Yes, sir. We will provide you.
Some of us understand it's 47 days.
Yes, sir. We will
But
provide
you're
you
telling us it's 3 months.
from the beginning, sir, when they go ahead and come on pre-employment training to the
Thank you.
OJT program afterwards. But we will provide the committee with the full
Okay.
breakdown.
For Mr. Lyons and Mr. Scott, over the past several weeks, the president has made a series of comments regarding the midterm election. The president has urged my Republican colleagues in Congress to nationalize elections. Now, are you involved in any planning on guarding precincts in this country as of today? Mr. Scott,
No, sir.
Mr. Lyons.
No, sir.
So there's no information, you've not been asked to start deploying people for areas anywhere.
No, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Mr. Lyons, I'll get it in writing, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to follow your directions on that.
Gentleman yields back. Thank you. Ranking member.
Bernie's
I now recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. McCall.
his
5 minutes of
questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm not that impressed with them.
You know, a decade ago when I chaired this
He
committee,
usually does
Mr.
a lot better than
Thompson
that. Look at
and
this
I
putz.
passed a bill to authorize ICE into law. It was a bipartisan effort. It passed the House overwhelmingly, both Republican and Democrat. A decade later, here we are. The Dems have called to abolish ICE. Now they're trying to shut it down.
That's because there's
what has
murderers
happened?
in ICE.
In that 10 years, let's go back to the last 4 to 5 years.
Nobody was
What
murdering
happened
anybody 4 to 5
in
years
this
ago,
country
Michael.
and at the border. As someone who lives in a border state of Texas, we saw the most dangerous, wide open border that I've seen in my 22 years in Congress. 10 to 12 million people, and that's what we know
Now,
about.
again,
I think it's
I-
far
you know what? I
greater,
can't.
Came into
Who
the
the fuck cares? You know, you know what I mean? When do we get to a point where we say to the Republicans, who the fuck cares? Who gives a shit anymore that Biden let all of these immigrants come in? Like, it's not the conversation that we're having. And that's why I wasn't thrilled with Bernie Thompson's questions there, because I feel like he should have been hyper zoned in on Murder, murder, murder. I don't think he should have spent time, I mean, it's his opinion, on training and 47 days versus 3 months. I think he should have been zoned in on murder, on ICE agents murdering people. And then we let this McCall comes in, and he's back to, well, it was the most dangerous time that Texas had ever seen. And I want to see Democrats start to get on the offense. I want to see them come out and say, who the fuck cares? Nobody cares. Americans don't give a shit. What Americans want to know is why the fuck is it okay for ICE to murder Renee Good? Why was it okay for them to shoot Alex Preddy on the ground 10 times? Why is local and state law enforcement not involved? Why have they been iced out of the investigation? Every question, and I'm sure there will be good questions coming, but I wasn't, for the first time in a long time, I was not impressed with Bernie Thompson's opening salvo of questions. Because it allows these morons like Congressman McCall of Texas, to come back in and start talking about how great a job they're doing and how bad Biden was. You need to come in there and kick the shit out of these motherfuckers, rhetorically. You can't fuck around anymore. People's lives are at stake, and they're being killed in front of us. I'm sorry, I love Bernie Thompson, but there was no excuse for that questioning. I actually feel more infuriated right now with Bernie's weak questioning than I do just at the moment. I'll get over it, because it was just, than I do with these Republican assholes, lying about how dangerous it is for the ICE Gestapo members. It's so dangerous for them. But Democrats better get their fucking shit together in this thing here, because it'll get more. This will be a disastrous. It should be a hearing for Republicans, but I know there's a strategy to the way they're asking the questions, and I know Eric Swalwell is going to be hammering them, and I know we're going to see other Democrats hammer them, and I know I'm sure they brought people in to affect witnesses into it that they're going to be able to bring up from the audience. And I'm sure there's plenty of video. I mean, just show the fucking video of Alex Preddy and Renee Good's murder over and over and over again, and ask these assholes if they're willing to go to jail for what they did. Let's let this idiot continue to speak a little bit more, and then hopefully we'll have a stronger Democratic response in the next line of questioning.
The protests, while they still go on, have subsided, and ICE has been allowed to do their targeted, intelligence-driven enforcement operation. Just the other night, local authorities arrested 54 protesters at the local level, where ICE officers did not have to be engaged in that.
My final question to you, do you believe the model that Mr. Homan is now setting in Minneapolis should be a model for the nation?
Gentleman's time is expired.
If I could allow the witness to answer.
I understand that, but I'm holding
I'd like on the record an answer, Mr. Chairman. Do you agree that
Fuck
Mr.
off,
Homan's
McCall.
model is one for the nation?
The chairman.
Gentleman's time is expired.
Good for you.
Yes or no?
I mean, I'm
Now
glad the
recognize
chairman.
the gentleman from California, Mr. Swalwell.
All right, let's see what
5
Swalwell
minutes.
does.
A couple nights ago, I met with a woman who works as a cashier at a grocery store, and I told her I was coming to see you, Mr. Lyons, and she said, will you ask him, and she didn't want to give her name. She was terrified to give her name. But she said, when I get off my shift around midnight, I walk through the parking lot to my car. She said, if somebody rolls up in an unidentified van and gets out wearing all black and their face is covered and they don't have any identification and they ask me to get into the van, how do I know who they are? How does she know, Mr. Lyons? How does she know if they're an ICE agent or bad guys?
Sir, ICE agents have identifiable placards on their uniforms as well as their badges representative, but you won't see ICE agents rolling through the parking lots and just snatching someone up. ICE does intelligence-driven, targeted enforcement operations.
Well, Mr. Homan and others have said that they target individuals based on the color of their skin and the accents that they speak, and that's why people are running through the fields and factories where they work. Director Lyons, last year you said in Phoenix at the Border Security Expo that you wanted to see a deportation process that was like, quote, Amazon Prime, but with human beings. Mr. Lyons, how many times has Amazon Prime shot a mom 3 times in the face?
None, sir, but you're also...
It's the square root of 0. That's right.
Yes, sir. Yeah, but if we're going to go down that route of my comment, I did say that comment. However, that comment was taken out. If you go back and watch the video, I did say that we need to be more efficient when it comes to removing individuals from the United States, because ICE doesn't detain punitively. We detain to remove. I don't want to see people in custody. At the end of my statement was, again, to your point, it was a industry day for AI and efficiencies. But I did say at the end of it, but we deal with human beings, so we can't be like them.
And speaking
That's
of
the key part that you're leaving out.
Well, speaking of human beings, how many times has Amazon Prime shot a nurse 10 times in the back?
None.
How many times has Amazon Prime dragged a woman out of her car by her hair and then dragged her down the street?
None.
Good.
How many
Eric.
ICE agents have been fired for their conduct under your leadership?
0.
Sir, I can get you that data.
Because it's
I'll get that
fucking
back to you.
0.
Is it more than 1?
I'm not going to speak about personnel actions, but I'll get you that data.
Can you tell us if at least, God, I hope at least one person has been fired for their conduct since these operations have begun? Are you telling us you can't even say one person's been fired?
Sir, I'm not going to talk about personnel actions, but we will get back to you.
But 2 people have been killed so far. Is that right? A nurse named Preddy and a mom named Good. 2 people have been killed so far.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lyons, will you apologize to the family of Renee Good for being called a domestic terrorist by the president and his leadership?
No, sir.
Why not?
Fucking coward.
Sir, I welcome the opportunity to speak to the family in private, but I'm not going to comment on any active investigation.
Coward.
Is she a domestic terrorist?
Sir, I'm not going to comment on the
Coward.
investigation. And the president and Secretary Noem are elected officials. That's their right to their comments. But as career law enforcement, we won't speak to any.
Do you agree with their comments?
Sir, I'm not going to go ahead and talk about any ongoing investigation.
Coward.
Will you apologize to the family of Alex Preddy for also being called a domestic terrorist?
Sir, again, I'm not going to speak to any ongoing investigation.
Coward.
Mr. Lyons, your staying to lead ICE is a decision.
Sir, I'm sorry.
You're staying on to lead ICE is a decision.
Look at his
I've
affect.
read
Look
your
at his
background.
mannerisms.
You have a decorated career. You served in the military. You are what I would call otherwise employable. I think most people would agree this is not the only job that you can get. But since you've been on this job, women have been dragged by their hair through our streets. A 6-year-old child battling stage 4 cancer has been deported, and it turns out he was a U.S. citizen. People are running through the fields where they work. People who've gone to the streets as allies.
Watch it. Watch.
have
He
been
can't
shot
sit still. Watch
and
him.
Publicly executed. It's a decision to stay on at this point. And considering your honorable service in the past and the dishonorable acts that those who have worked for you have conducted, and the disgraceful statements that the leadership above you have said, you now have a decision. Will you stand with the kids who you're supposed to protect, or will you side with the killers bringing terror to our streets?
Amen.
Mr. Lyons, will you resign from ICE?
No, sir, I won't.
Coward.
Because, sir, that child that you're showing right there, the men and women of ICE took care of him when his father abandoned
You
him.
used him
Time has expired.
to
You never
bait
should
his
have gone
father.
Time has expired. I recognize the gentleman from Mississippi.
Coward.
The guest for 5 minutes.
Sick. They're
Thank you, Mr.
sick,
Chairman.
sick fucks.
Mr. Chairman, we stand on the verge of a second Democrat shutdown of the United States Department of Homeland Security just within the last 90 days.
I'm not sure who this is.
The Department of Homeland Security employs 260,000 men and women
I'm not sure who
across
the
22 different agencies.
Who the Republican is.
Those
I wish they
agencies
would
include
go over to him. So I could see him.
63,000 men and women who work for CBP.
Still don't know who he is. I'm looking right now.
60,000 who work for TSA, 22,000 for FEMA, 18,000 who works for USCIS, almost 50,000 civilian and military employees with the United States Coast Guard, 7,800 Secret Service employees, 2,500 CISA employees, and over 8,000 agents and analysts with the Department of Homeland Security investigation who perform a crucial function a crucial function to protect and serve
The
this
you know where
country.
he's going here. He's going to talk about shutting
This
down
second
DHS, right?
Government shutdown.
Shut up. He's going to talk about, this is the absurdity of this moment, and it's not lost on Americans, I don't think. Although these hearings are usually not Americans don't usually focus on these hearings, except for the highlights that come out. But I would do a highlight reel if I can get access to the emails. Maybe I will. And I have the time, not the emails, the video, and I have the time. Maybe I will. You do a highlight reel of Eric Swalwell talking about, with controlled rage, talking about murder, the people who were murdered, Alex Preddy, Renee Good, talking about a woman, a disabled woman being dragged by her hair out of her car. Talk about little Liam, who was used as bait, and you show his affect, right, in that video. Then you juxtapose it against this Republican congressman who's, feigning pretend rage about, we're going to shut down the government. You're going to shut it down. FEMA is very big. There's 75,000 people who are going to lose their jobs in FEMA. And what about everybody in the Coast Guard? They're going to be shut down. If there's a shutdown, I ain't going to tolerate a shutdown. Again, that fake outrage, I'm going to put him back on in a minute, and we can listen to it a little more. But you juxtapose in a video this fake outrage about a department being shut down, and you juxtapose it against murdering people, murdering American citizens in cold blood.
I believe consistency and seeing support from the leadership on both sides of this building and the president is very important to border security. I think the rhetoric and the back and forth, the politicizing of law enforcement in general detracts from the general morale of our personnel.
Is it not important that we pay the men and women who serve under your command?
It's critically important.
And in a government shutdown, the bills don't stop, do they not? The bills continue to accrue.
Correct.
And the
how are we going to pay them?
deployment
How are we
of
going to pay them
technology
people who
ceases in
we
many
need to
cases,
shoot people?
and America becomes less safe.
You're going
Would you agree
they're
with
going
that
to come.
I would agree.
They're going to take your babies. They're
Mr.
going to
Hedlund,
take your
what about
mama and
you?
your daddy.
Well, Congressman, as I'm sure you're aware, USCIS is a little different in that we are fee-funded. So during a shutdown, the men and women working for USCIS will continue to be paid. However,
fit his
in
narrative.
terms of our screening and vetting enterprises, as well as everything else we do, we have formed very, very strong working relationships with the other components, and that's critical for us to be able to do our work. While we may be there able to continue without our partners being paid and with them being furloughed, it's going to make America significantly less safe.
And Mr. Lyons.
Yes, sir. It will have a great impact, especially on the Homeland Security task forces and the men and women that are focused on the transnational crime and foreign terrorist organization.
Mr. Lyons, very quickly, we've had many members of this committee who have made allegations. The Democrats have once again taken the mantle of the party to defund the police and abolish ICE. Do you wish to take the last few seconds to speak about the consequences that has on the men and women that you serve?
The men and women of ICE are sworn law enforcement officers who are dedicated to do their mission to protect the United States.
Nobody
Mr.
gives
Chairman,
a
I
fuck
yield back.
about the men and women of
I
ICE.
recognize a gentleman from California, Mr. Correa, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to welcome our witnesses today. Gentlemen, I wanted to start out by talking a little bit about my district, Southern California, Disneyland. Southern California is the center of manufacturing for the United States. California, biggest ag state in the union. California, also, big donor, taxpayer dollars to the United States. President Trump got elected on the promise to deport the worst of the worst. Your numbers, Mr. Lyons, less than 14% of those arrested by ICE first year, 2025, had charges or convictions of violent violence, 70% of those deported had not even a traffic ticket. Mr. Lyons, I think we're all patriots, but I'm trying to figure out how, this is a question to you, sir, how deporting a nanny makes our nation safer, stronger, how trying to deport the father of 3 Marines make this country stronger, how deporting the parents of a number of Marines at Camp Pendleton makes this nation stronger.
Sir, thank you for your welcome, first off. Just to address your the numbers with the 14%, sir, that's 14% that are listed as violent criminal felonies. However, what's left out of that is the fact that it's left off that list.
Those 70% that don't have a traffic ticket and deported, how has that made our nation stronger?
Sir, if you look at what ICE has done, more than 60% of every individual that is in ICE custody has a pending or a conviction on a criminal charge. Not to count.
Sir,
No,
let me
no,
move ahead.
no,
I only
that's a
have
lie.
3 minutes, and we'll talk later.
The criminal
Let's talk about
charge
American
is
citizens. Again,
this that came in the
back
country
home.
illegally. That's a lie.
People, young people asking me, what do I have to carry with me so I won't be deported? Is, Mr. Lyons, carrying a passport, is that enough so they won't be detained or deported in my district?
Sir, an American citizen shouldn't carry or shouldn't feel the need to carry.
Let me tell you what some of your ICE agents have done. They pulled over a gentleman in a pickup truck, showed his passport, they threw it to the side, detained him. What do we have to do to show that we're American citizens?
Sir, no American citizen falls under Title VIII. No American citizen will be arrested for being an American citizen.
But they've
just
been
said
arrested
to my
for being
colleague
American
that
citizens.
nobody has been fired because of violations of the law for disciplinary actions, yet this is happening in my district. Mr. Lyons, we're a very boring district. We work hard, mind our own business. ICE in our streets now. People are terrorized. American citizens. Number of cases of Americans being detained, being taken in, some being
Hey, Irish
held for
Shaggy.
5
How are you?
days. Sir, what do we do with those people in that situation? What do we tell them?
Sir, I don't know of any particular cases you're speaking of American citizen being
I'm more than happy to provide you a list, sir.
100%, sir.
So let me ask you, sir, are you surveilling U.S. citizens today?
No, sir.
Those people protesting, practicing this First Amendment right, photos of them, data taken, they're not being placed in any kind of a database?
There is no database for protesters, sir.
One of your officers in Maine said to one of the
Yes.
individuals protesting, we're going to put your face in a little database. What does that mean? Do you have a little database
No, sir.
of Americans?
No, sir, we don't.
Then what do you think your ICE agent was doing to this individual when he said those statements?
I can't speak for that individual, sir, but I can assure you there is no database that's tracking United
So
States
why wasn't
citizens.
that ICE agent
Sir-
fired or reprimanded?
California, we're a sanctuary state. Does that cause you a problem picking up individuals?
Yes, sir.
I have with me today some data from Sheriff Barnes, Orange County Sheriff. Very good friend. He's been here to testify numerous times. For 2025, he referred about 300 individuals for your office to pick up. 250 were picked up, 50 were never picked up. We had a long conversation saying, what is going on? If these are the worst of the worst, you've called ICE to pick them up and you didn't pick them up. Can you explain to us why you didn't pick up all these individuals that were referred to your office to pick up?
Yes, sir. That's the key part of that is the referral. We make sure that those individuals are eligible to be placed in detention and for movability.
So you
in that
never
case,
even looked at
Gentlemen's
those
time-
individuals.
Gentlemen's time.
I would like to talk to you about this issue later on, Mr. Lyons.
Gentlemen's
Thank you very
Time
much.
has expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Pfluger, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You know,
why
I
are we
was.
here? And I think it's pretty clear.
Oh,
that
shut up.
Until
I can't listen to him. We'll go back. And again, guys, if you want to hear the Republican lines, I get it. And I won't be offended if you go to, I don't give a fuck what they have to say, to be honest with you. They're all covering up for the administration. They're all cowards. They're all white nationals, whether they're white or not. And I don't have the patience to listen to their bullshit. So sometimes I'll listen to a little bit of it, but for the most part, I'm going to talk over the Republican talking points that are where they're speaking now. I'm not interested in what they have to say. But again, it's still very early in the hearing, and I know lawmakers understand that these hearings are predominantly focused on what the Democrats and the Republicans want to really do right now is they're not so interested in the length of the hearing and those watching the hearing live, because it's just us. I mean, nobody watches it live. What they're interested is in the video clips for cable news that come out, and they're interested in the video clips online for social media. They want those, and I get that. But still, and I expect we'll see Swalwell's questioning was really strong. The other congressman's questioning, Democratic questioning, it was okay, but I didn't think it was that strong. I just don't. I think there are a lot of issues that don't matter right now. I think the issues for. I think it's important to. I think it's important to show the murders. I would have liked to, after Swalwell, I would have liked to have seen a another strong Democratic member of Congress, another prosecutor. I don't know who else is on this committee, so I can't think of who else I would have liked to have seen. But I would have liked to have seen them show the video of the murders of Renee Good and the video of the murder of Alex Preddy. And I would have liked to have them ask each one of these clowns. And the clowns will say, well, of course, I can't comment on an ongoing investigation. And then I'd like to hear them still ask, well, do you see Alex Preddy resisting? Show them where stop at the point where the gun, where the ICE agent has the gun, and then Alex Preddy is shot 8 times after that, and ask them, did you just see that? Well, I can't comment on an ongoing investigation, but still get it on video, and ask them, did you just see that? And then say, you're refusing to comment on an investigation, but you, sir, your agency, your bosses are illegally investigating this themselves. Your bosses are investigating themselves. And how do you feel about that? Well, I can't comment. And I would call them out. I would make them answer, these clowns answer for that. I feel like, again, it's only been 3 Democrats who have questioned these guys so far. But I found the questioning, with the exception of Swalwell, not effective. And you have so much to work with. You don't waste time on bullshit. Like we don't need to hear about that ICE never came to pick up 50 people. We don't waste fucking time with that. Get into the real stuff. Get into it hard. Get into it fast. Put these motherfuckers on their heels and don't let them off it. These guys are not bright, and they are very easy to frazzle. And if I think Democrats were to hit them over and over and over and over again with the things that are irrefutable, that you cannot explain away, I think you would have these ICE goofballs absolutely frazzled. And I don't think they would be able to respond effectively to it. And I think that way, even though it's all about clipping the pulling your, oh wait, is he done?
Panadar for 5 minutes of questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And good morning to our witnesses. Commissioner Scott, did the ICU nurse, Alex Preddy, deserve to die?
I cannot comment on an ongoing investigation, sir.
Coward.
Do you believe that he deserved to die? Should he be killed by your agents?
I'm not going to comment on an ongoing investigation, sir, before it's concluded and all the facts are available.
Coward.
Do you agree with CBP Commander Bovino's statement that Alex Pretty was planning to massacre law enforcement agents?
I'm not going to comment on an ongoing investigation, sir.
Coward.
Director Lyons, did Renee Good deserve to die?
Sir, I can't comment on ongoing investigations.
Coward.
Director Lyons, do you agree with Secretary Noem and Vice President Vance's characterization of Renee Good as a domestic terrorist?
Sir, I can't speak to their comments as that they are their own, but as an ongoing investigation, I can't speak to that.
Coward.
Director Lyons, what did your agents mean when he said, "You raise your voice, I erase your voice"? In the video just that we have seen.
I wish you would have showed the video, but great question.
Sir, I'm not aware of that video that you have, sir. I can't comment on what that officer has said.
I hope he has it.
Does that statement, if I show you the video of that, does that statement reflect the value of your agency? And does ICE respect and adhere to the First Amendment?
Yes, sir, ICE does respect and refer to the First Amendment, but that doesn't respect, that what your statement you said doesn't represent the values of the men and women of ICE.
Commissioner Scott, does CBP respect and adhere to the First and Second Amendment?
Yes, we do.
Don't you agree that Alex Pretty had every right to exercise his First and Second Amendment freedoms before being shot in the streets by one of your agents?
I believe every person in the United States has a right to their constitutional rights.
Look, I have heard and seen enough. I'm just sick and tired of your agents running around in our cities, in our streets, causing illegal activities. ICE and CBP thugs are roaming our streets, attacking our communities, using our children as bait, referring to people as bodies and numbers, targeting people for their accents and the color of their skin, and killing American citizens, all while showing zero remorse for their actions.
Yeah.
Director Lyons and Commissioner Scott, do you think President Trump will pardon you and your boss, Kristi Noem, before he leaves office, just like he has for insurrectionists and his political allies? Do you believe President Trump will pardon you? Because, go ahead.
I'm not going to speak on behalf of President Trump, but I'll tell you, I signed up for this job to protect America, and I'm very proud of the service that I provide, and I don't need a pardon from anybody.
Well, you better hope
No,
so.
you're not.
You better hope
You're not proud.
Being pardoned, because you will be held accountable for the absolute disregard of the law your agencies have shown over the past year. Your agencies have lost the trust of the American people, with millions taking to the streets to protect the illegal actions of your agencies. And that's why
It's great questioning. Yeah, I agree with you, Gamer Vet Dad.
In the United States Congress to abolish ICE. ICE must be abolished.
Amen.
I also co-sponsored a bill to impeach Secretary Kristi Noem. And I believe Kristi Noem must be impeached. And this Congress must do everything in its power to carry out oversight actions against these rogues departments, including if
Gentleman's time has expired. A witness has requested a break. Committee will recess for 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they need a break, don't they? I mean, it's been so hard on them. The three of them. I mean, oh, wait, or do they not take it a break? American Nazis, folks. There's your Gestapo leadership. You know, I imagine that you know, when you're sitting there and you're lying incessantly, and you're a criminal, and you're in charge of a bunch of fucking idiot criminals who are roaming the streets, and you're being told for the first time, which was great. Representative, I can't remember his name, Shri Theander. You know, he's becoming. I'm starting to hear more and more about him because he's becoming a very aggressive. He's very mild mannered, and you know that these. Wait, hang on. What is this asshole?
And Immigration Services for the calendar year 2026.
Oh, okay, just recording. You know they wanted to just deport him, right? You know that these guys, these white nationalist fucking creeps that were sitting there, they were thinking to themselves that it was, you know, the racists that they are. I'm sure they were thinking to themselves, you know, they have to answer to this guy who has an accent, right? And this guy who, probably in their, you know, opinions, isn't a real American anyway. He's, you know, he's a less than person, right? And they're being asked hard questions by him, and he's very gentle in his way of asking them. Again, I wish he would have had the video. I'm sure someone else will later in the day. I wish he would have had the video of the Gestapo agent saying, you know, if you shut your mouth, don't shut your mouth or something, or I'll shut your, whatever it is. But that would have been even more powerful. You know, I don't know, guys. I'm at a loss for words. It's a rare moment. You think so, Gamer? Well, I don't think now, Gamer Vet Dad, right? You're thinking now? Sorry, guys. I still have a little bit of a tickle. You're talking about once, you know, when they're finally held criminally liable. A lot of Fifth Amendment responses. You know, the Fifth Amendment response for today is I won't speak about an active investigation. And the active investigation is the FBI and DHS investigating itself, in essence, in both the Renee Good murder and the Alex Preddy murder, and the fact that local officials have been iced out of the investigations in both of those situations. Let me read some of your comments too, guys. Enough of my babbling. On the video of the ICE guy, or the video of the ICE guy talking about the database, and he had asked, asked about the data, specifically asked about the database and earlier, and I don't remember which creep it was, said, we don't have a database. Well, so what do you mean you don't have a database? But this guy says you have a database, and there were multiple videos of ICE agents taking pictures of or videos of people. So were they just taking videos of people and threatening to put them in a database, referring to them as domestic terrorists and saying you're now a domestic terrorist? What about the ICE agent who had her recent reporting? I don't know if it was her passport application didn't go through. It was there was some sort of shit with that. Gail, I suppose they have convinced themselves that their actions are justified. I don't know. I don't know. I think, as I try to kind of get into the minds, I mean, look, it's hard to kind of get into the mind of an abject racist, a weak racist who suddenly has access to a lot of power and a lot of control over people's lives, right? It's hard to get into that mind because you can't imagine what that mind is like. You kind of have to be that. You have to think that way to kind of get into a mindset like that. But I feel like a lot of times we have, when I used to be on TikTok very frequently, a lot of times I would have MAGA folks come on and they would just spout just like these three idiots. They would just spout talking points that they heard. These three idiots are better at spouting the talking points because they hear them, they've rehearsed them. They know what talking points they're supposed to speak, right? But on TikTok, I would have MAGA folks that would, regurgitate the talking points that they heard on Fox News or wherever else. And as we were sort of debating stuff, and I came to, and I watched, I think it's called Jubilee, isn't that where you're seeing folks debate? You'll have somebody from the left or somebody from the right, and there'll be tons of people that will hold up a red flag and they'll come in and they'll debate. You've probably seen those social media clips, right? But, and I listened to some of the MAGA extremists and the white supremacists and all the other stuff. And I'm starting to have a thought that they don't really, they know what they're doing. They know they're wrong. They know they're wrong. They know their views are inappropriate. They know their views are wrong. These three clowns, I feel like, and again, this is just my feeling on it. These three clowns, I feel like they know they're wrong. I don't think, like Donald Trump, he's so fucking delusional. Sometimes he genuinely doesn't know he's wrong. Sometimes he is convinced himself that he's right because he can never admit that he's wrong. And you can tell, we're starting to be able to tell, I think, when we watch him, when he believes he's right because he's convinced himself of some batshit craziness, juxtaposed against when he knows that he's wrong, but he's lying about it, right? I think these goofballs know they're wrong. I think you can see in their faces. I think you can almost feel in their energy that they know they're lying to us, that they feel like they're almost nasty and sarcastic and almost pretend happy about the fact that they're lying and getting away with it. So I don't think any of them believe that they're justified. I think they know they're breaking the law. I think there's a conscience inside of each of them that eats at their spirit and their soul. And again, maybe I'm misreading what I think I see in their faces, but to me, I think they're like little children. Or I'll take my son's age group. Like, I just thought I heard somebody at my door. Take 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds, right? A lot of them, when you catch them, when they get caught lying, right? And they just keep lying and they try to act cool about it. And even though they're lying, eventually you break them, right? But these grown-ups are so conditioned and trained to act like children, like 10-year-olds, because it's literally what they're doing, that you can't break them. You can't eventually use their conscience and their decency and their immaturity to sort of break them down and teach them to be right, to behave like grown-ups, right? To behave like civilized people, right? They'll choose to behave like lying animals in a way. And anyway, let's get back to this.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, gentlemen, for your service to our great country. I was speaking to some agents that were deployed from Texas to Minnesota, just asking for the ground truth of what was happening. And one of the things that stood out to me is one of the agents said, Tony, it reminds me a lot of Fallujah. Having someone that served in Fallujah, that caught my attention. And so my question first is to you, Commissioner Scott, is on the safety of our agents. In particular,
it does look like Fallujah. It does look like a war zone. But why is that?
We were fighting a war that was the Persian Gulf when the world had changed. And so my question is there a way we can protect our law enforcement, our federal law enforcement agents, in particular I've got a bill in particular through bulletproof glass or ballistic windshields. Is that something you think that could help protect the law enforcement officers that are on the front lines?
I think that can help protect the officers on the front lines. But
From
it goes
what?
much farther than that because things have changed. So the tactical infrastructure at the border, the bulletproof vests, all of that,
Who the
helps
fuck is
tremendously.
shooting at
We're
them?
fighting a different fight now. The reason you saw so many people surged into LA at one point and then now into Minneapolis was because we had to surge additional resources in to protect the ICE agents that were literally just going to try to make a lawful arrest. So we had to put in
From
two
who?
teams. One to do the
No,
arrest, and
you
another
dumb fuck. You sent troops in because the village idiot Donald Trump was mad at Gavin Newsom. We're gonna send them in. It's lawless. It's crazy. Remember the idiot? They're gonna burn the place down. They're gonna burn it to the ground. It would be a disaster. You sent more people in. The fucking Marines were sent in. 600 Marines were sent in, you stupid ass. Because Donald wanted them there. Fuck off.
our officers and agents more holistically on social media. How do we keep them from being doxxed? When somebody goes to like did to Director Lyons, they follow his kid home and then have protests in his front yard and then put it out live on video. That needs to be a crime. I don't want to violate anybody's right to free speech, but going into your front yard and harassing your family just because you're a law enforcement officer, that should not be a protected action.
The world has changed, and we need to change with it to make sure our federal law enforcement officers and their families are protected.
Exactly why DHS has to be defunded, and Democrats cannot give in. Because this is they'll use this. They've created this madness, right? Gamer Vet Dad, and I lost a close friend in Fallujah. This is nowhere near. This is nowhere near that level of violence, assholes. Amen. Thank you for what you do, Gamer Vet Dad, and what you've been through. And you have to watch these fucking cowards, disgrace you and the memory of your friend. Sick. It's fucking sick. And that's exactly why, Democrats need to stand strong right now and make sure they get what they need or let DHS, shut the fuck down. Because idiots like this congressman and like these three imbeciles that are sitting on the dossier right now, idiots on the dais, I should say, idiots like these fools will go further with their nonsensical, unreal rhetoric that it's the agents that are at risk, that things are so dangerous for them. And Christy Dingbat Gnome and the village Dingbat Idiot and Tom, the immigration slob, Czar Hammond, they will fund, we'll start getting fucking bulletproof windshields for the ICE Gestapo. Maybe give them tanks so they could protect themselves. Maybe they should roll tanks into Minneapolis and Maine now, because these poor guys are under so much distress. There's so much danger.
To see 65,000 visas get released not too long ago.
Just got to grab another
The
tissue.
question I have
Sorry,
is, what are the details? What is the timeline behind that? What is the purpose of those? Can you specifically speak to the legal visa process?
Well, if you're referring to the 65,000 that were the supplemental
Yes.
H-2Bs.
Exactly right.
That's there's 60,000 or 65,000, 66,000, excuse me, that go out every year at 2 times in the year. And then Congress has, for many years, given the department the authority through the secretary to increase that based on the needs of the country. So that those visas were released. I don't remember exactly when the
time has expired. I apologize. And again, any questions? I know I'm being tight on the rules. We have to be.
The chair, for whatever it's worth.
Any members will be able to submit questions.
He is
in writing,
enforcing this
and
on
you can
both sides.
Detail these.
So I guess
thank
I
you very
got to
much.
give him credit
I
for
now
that.
recognize the gentleman from Rhode Island, Mr. Magaziner, for 5 minutes of questions.
Mr. Lyons, has ICE hired anyone who is charged with a crime related to the January 6th riot here at the Capitol?
Great question.
Sir, I don't have that information, but I would say
Of course
no.
not.
Could you find out and please report back?
Yes, sir, I'll get that. I'll take that as a
Would
given.
you hire someone who attacked police officers here on January 6th, even though they were unfortunately pardoned by the president?
Sir, we take assault on law enforcement very serious, and we have a good, strenuous vetting program. I'm
All right,
sure.
thank you. Commissioner Scott, how many of your agents have been disciplined for excessive use of force over the past year?
I cannot comment on ongoing.
I'm not asking you to comment on
personnel
specific
action.
investigation. How many of your agents have been disciplined? I'm just asking for the total.
I'll
for
get that
excessive
number
force.
to you. I don't have it in front of me.
All right, I sent you a letter asking that question and haven't received a response. Will you commit to sending a response to me, please?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'd like you to view this video.
This is video of what appears to be pepper spray thrown by a federal agent into Rafael Veraza's car.
You okay, Mama? You okay?
Seconds later, he realized his daughter, 1-year-old Ariana, was in the back seat, also battling the chemicals.
Are you familiar with this incident?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this is a family of United States citizens who were out to get groceries at a Sam's Club in Chicago. When they arrived, they could see that there was a chaotic operation in the parking lot. They turned their vehicle to leave, at which point your agents sprayed pepper spray out of their vehicle and into the driver's side window of the Veraza's family vehicle. Is it proper procedure to aim pepper spray into the window of a moving vehicle?
I'm not familiar. I don't have all the details on this.
Of course
It's an
not.
ongoing
I'm not asking about
investigation, but to answer your specific question,
Is it proper
we try
procedure?
to avoid that. No, it's not.
Try to avoid it. Because you understand it's dangerous, right? Not just for the driver, but for pedestrians, for other people who could be hit by a car if a driver is blinded, right?
I 100% understand that, but you're talking about intentional versus not intentional.
Well, now
I've
listen.
been in a vehicle
from the
in one of
video-
these situations.
Scott, reclaiming my time. From the video, this was clearly intentional, and you know as well as I do that in any other law enforcement agency, if an officer did this, they would be put on leave, investigated, and likely disciplined. Were any of your agents ever investigated or disciplined for this incident?
I'll have to get back to you on this incident. I believe it's still an
So you
ongoing
don't know.
investigation.
Fucking
We
idiot.
have at least-
He's a
I'd
fucking
like to
idiot.
show you another video. This one is from Minneapolis.
He's the,
So as you can see, the agent sprayed pepper spray at close range directly into the face of an individual who had already been pinned to the ground by 3 other agents. And there's a picture of this behind me to give you a better view. Is this proper procedure for the use of pepper spray?
I cannot comment on that because you're only showing one piece, and that subject
Has
is
this
clearly
agent
not
been
compliant.
investigated? But this is not the intended use of this weapon, correct?
The intended use is to try to avoid escalating. It's to
Yeah, because I
de-escalate
guess
the
if
situation.
he would have
Well, he was
shot
already
him, that would have been
pinned to the ground
inappropriate.
By 3 other agents, I think he had been de-escalated. Is there any investigation into this agent for doing this?
I'll get back to you. There are several open investigations.
Of course, he would
All right,
know about
listen,
that.
there has been no accountability in your agency under the Trump administration. None. Your agency has repeatedly been caught on tape using unnecessary violence against civilians, and you can't even tell me if any of these agents have been investigated or disciplined. You are supposed to be making people safer, and instead your agents are being unnecessarily violent. And that is why the Trump administration has lost the trust of the American people on immigration. Understand, it's not just the actions of the agents in the field, it is the lack of accountability from the top that has caused public trust to erode. And there need to be major reforms before we vote to give any of you any more funding. Your agencies need to act like other law enforcement agencies. Take off the masks, wear badge numbers, enforce discipline with real standards of conduct. But accountability starts at the top. Kristi Noem is completely unfit and should be removed from office. And all of the operations that we just watched were overseen by Commander Gregory Bavino, who himself engaged in excessive use of force. He even admitted that he lied to a federal judge when he claimed he had been hit by a rock prior to throwing a tear gas canister at a crowd of civilians. But then after the footage came out, and that turned out to be not true, he admitted that he had lied about it. Mr. Scott, what disciplinary action do you plan to take against Mr. Bavino?
I cannot comment on personnel actions on any.
Is there an investigation underway or being considered into Mr. Bavino?
Every allegation and every use of force is fully investigated.
Well,
within
please
DHS.
investigate him.
Goes through a review
You need
board.
to
and then-
start
Gentlemen's-
enforcing discipline.
Gentleman's
your
time
agency.
has expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Strong, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Chairman.
All right, guys. I don't know. That was a good line of questioning. More of that, please. I think, guys, I'm going to wrap the live here because we've been going we're going to hit almost 2 hours. It's a little easier to do these lives. Yeah, cannot comment. That's pleading. That's their version of pleading the fifth, right? Gamer Vet Dad cannot comment. Oh my fucking God, the Klan is back. Gail, this is that. I said that earlier in the live. I said that this is those 3 guys, those 3 white men on sitting in those chairs right now, and these crazy and pretend crazy GOP members of Congress, almost all of whom are white men. There's a couple white women, and there might be one or two women of color. I don't think there's any men of color on this. I don't think on this committee. They are the modern day American Ku Klux Klan. They are America's version, if you want to go to the German comparison, the Nazi comparison, they are the Gestapo. They are America's Gestapo. Wherever you want to take it, you can take it, but that's it. And these cowards, like this coward and the rest of them, they are either members of that Klan, or they're just, the chicken shit members of Congress back in the day when the Klan had all the power, who just greenlit and turned a blind eye to the Klan's behavior and called it something else, right? Renamed it for something else. Take note of the name. I'm just reading your point here, Gamer Vet Dad. I think I know where you're going. Take note of their names. They will be in the docket at Nuremberg 2, except for the one that becomes a witness for the prosecution. I couldn't agree with you more, Gamer Vet Dad. I think that you think about what happened, not just here, but think about the Trump administration, the attack on Venezuela, the murders of the people on the boats, and the cold-blooded murder of the two, people who were on an overturned boat who were basically calling for help, and they blew them up. That's a crime against humanity. Those were crimes against humanity. Here on U.S. soil, this animal, Rodney Scott, Lyons, and the other putts, they will face justice. They may face justice at The Hague. Which would be, the International Criminal Court. They may face justice there, and they very well, I expect, will face American justice, after this administration is gone. Guys, I think I'm going to wrap the live. I have a briefing in about 35 minutes, but I need to see if I can squeeze in a video. I have to make some videos for YouTube. YouTube Shorts and TikTok Shorts and TikTok and Instagram as well. And I want to see if I can grab a really, really quick lunch. I just want to let you guys know. Hang on one second. Let me see if I can find my stuff here. Hang on. Let me just look something up. I thought I had this ready for you guys, and I was going to just let you know, tell you real fast. Hang on one second. If you guys can just bear with me for a second. So on Thursday, Jacob Ward will be joining me. If you can join us Thursday at 11:15, I think it's going to be a really good conversation. Jacob is he's a reporter, and through his reporting over the years, he's around my age. He has been hyper focused on the surveillance state, and he's really kind of dialed in. He has a here on Substack. He has a publication called The Rip Current. And I've always kind of wondered, speaking with the ICE Gestapo here, what is going on with surveillance. Now, they said they're not doing anything in this hearing, but I think Jacob will have something to share with us about that. All the details about what's going on with the surveillance state. It's going to be a really good interview. We're going to. Oh, hang on. Goldman's speaking. Let's get this in. Hang on. I'm sorry, guys. Let me bring him up. Hang on. Oh, Fungool, I can't find my. Hang on, guys. I was going to leave for now, but I want to hear Goldman's, and I'm sure you guys do too.
So all of those individual American citizens who have been randomly asked are lying. Is that what you're saying?
Sir, if the men and women of ICE are conducting an investigation, whether it be for Title 8 immigration enforcement or Title 18 criminal enforcement, they'll ask someone their nationality.
Right, but that's not targeted because they're asking all sorts of American citizens, including off-duty law enforcement.
Now, have you directed at any point your agents under the Supreme Court's racial profiling ruling to only stop non-white people, those who look like immigrants, to ask for their citizenship papers?
No, sir, I haven't.
Now, you are aware, of course, and there's well-documented, numerous well-documented instances of people, American citizens, being asked to show and prove their citizenship. Do you know what other regimes in the 20th century required similar proof of citizenship?
Yes, sir.
What?
Sir, there was various nefarious regimes that did that.
Is Nazi Germany one?
Yes, but
Is the Soviet Union one?
I honestly...
Sir, I'm asking the questions. Is the Soviet Union one?
Yes, sir, but I totally, this is the wrong type of questioning.
I'll tell you what the wrong type
But
of
actually,
thing
sir,
is. Sir,
is
it's my
Holocaust
time.
Museum is down at
Reclaiming my
14th
time,
and
sir.
Independence. If you want to go see
Reclaiming my
Nazis,
time,
that's what it
Mr.
is.
Chairman.
It's
That's
not the
great.
men and women of ICE that are out there doing it every day. So to say that the men and women of ICE that
Mr. Chairman, I'm reclaiming my time. I would like my
Wrong.
time back, please.
Good.
Please
Shut him
give
the
me
fuck
another
up.
15
Very good.
seconds because he was unnecessarily speaking. You said in your opening statement that references to ICE as the Gestapo or the secret police encourages threats against ICE agents.
100%.
The problem is you have it backwards, sir. People are simply making valid observations about your tactics, which are un-American and outright fascist. So I have a simple suggestion. If you don't want to be called a fascist regime or secret police, then stop acting like one. But people are simply just observing what they are seeing.
He broke.
And that's why
You're right,
people are
Gamer Vet Dad.
making those comments. Now, I was a prosecutor for 10 years, prosecuted mob bosses, organized crime, violent criminals, the actual worst of the worst. Not a single criminal law enforcement agent that I worked with wore a mask to conceal their identity. But your department, which is a civil law enforcement agency, is defending the use of masks by your agents because of a so-called rise in threats and assaults against your officer. Now, you said in your opening testimony that assaults against ICE officers are up by more than 1,400%, which is now even more than the 1,300% that your gaslighting spokesperson, Tricia from Ohio, has recently been citing. But here's the problem. There are two separate, very detailed, very thorough investigative reports based on your own data that both conclude that assaults against ICE officers are up about 25%, which is far less, of course, than you assert, and far less than you would expect from an agency that has more than doubled its hiring and has an even greater increase in arrests. Now, why is that a problem, Mr. Lyons? It's a problem because the explanation that your agents are wearing masks because of fear of assaults or doxing is outright bogus. You and your untrained, unqualified, unvetted, unidentified agents are intentionally terrorizing our cities and communities all over this country to avoid accountability for their excessive force and their lawless actions. That is why you're wearing masks. So no one can hold you accountable, and you know that the FBI is not going to, because notwithstanding all of the investigations all of you say are going on, the Department of Justice and the FBI has stated they are not investigating those two murders. This is not the America that I know and love. This is not the America my immigrants came to. And it's long past time that you rein in your out-of-control agency and start following the law and the Constitution. And I yield back.
Gentleman's time has expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Arizona, Mr.
Good. That was very good. That was good. I'm glad I didn't end until Goldman went. And I agree with you, Lacey. That was really good. And I think the point that Gamer Vet Dad just made is that Lyons broke. He broke. And that's what I was talking about before. they inside they know they're lying. They're not as dumb as Donald Trump. They just chose to be dumb and to be cruel and to be stupid, but they're not actually dumb and stupid. They are really cruel, but they're not actually dumb and stupid. They just pretend to be that way, to be in a dumb, stupid, corrupt organization, administration. They're unqualified for their jobs. They're incompetent, but there's a little bit of a conscience in there. And Goldman broke him right there. And you could see at the end when he drank the water, he took his cup of water and tried to drink it after don't call us fat, don't call us that. And Goldman hadn't even called them Nazis. He just was asking the question about certain types of activities and what would be the comparison. Do you know? And Lyons is like, yeah. And he's like, would the Soviet Union do it? Would the Nazis do it? And then then he just fucking went nuts, right? And then Goldman kind of like shut him up and reclaimed his time. And that's why I feel like if the Democrats continue, if they just follow Goldman and they just keep hammering him, show the videos of the murders, keep calling them Nazis, show the videos of the murders, keep calling them Nazis, his hand was shaking. I mean, I almost don't want to I don't want to leave the stream because I want to, we'll stick around. I don't want to leave the stream because I want to I want to see how what the Democrats do next, and if they continue it for as long as I can, because I always find that when we have these live coverages of these events and of these hearings, and then I end the live because we've been 2 hours in or whatever else. And then I see the 3 hours later, I see the coverage of it on Midas and then on Legacy Media. I'm like, oh shit, I really that's it, Gamer Vet Dad. It will be in full on Midas. But I missed it. Right, I have all that FOMO because I missed it in real time. I don't know who Eli Crane is, by the way, so I don't know if I care to listen to him or not, to be honest with you. I just want to see if I can hold out till the next, let's see. Let's let Crane babble on for a moment, see who's speaking. It depends on who's coming up next, whether we stick around or not.
And they care about these American citizens, many of them who are young, have their entire lives ahead of them, didn't show up to a protest, right, to obstruct federal law enforcement. They're just going about their daily lives, and they get victimized by people who aren't supposed to be here. Why do you think they don't care about American citizens?
I cannot speculate, but when I look at the chaos that it creates and the corrosive nature that it creates, I go beyond the politics of the United States and I look at our nation-state adversaries like Iran, Russia, and China, and their influence on social media to keep this negative discourse going. And I think this is a much bigger issue than we're actually admitting that it is.
Fuck off. What, are you going to shut us down now, you whiny little biatch? Good luck.
Pertinent that's going to happen this
See, there's the hidden
Congress,
Nazi.
Where the American
you know what I mean?
people are going to see
we better shut down these voices.
We are
voices
going to
that don't
attempt to pass the Save America Act, okay? Which requires documentary proof of U.S. citizenship to register to vote. It imposes photo ID requirements to vote, and it penalizes officials who do not enforce these requirements. And you won't see most of these folks over here on the other side that are demonizing you guys right now. You will not see them supported. So they let millions and millions of illegal aliens into the country. They set up these sanctuary cities so you can't go enforce these federal laws that are on the books that Congress has passed.
No.
And now they won't vote to stop these illegals from voting in our elections.
Except they don't.
If the American people don't understand what
there
this
are
whole
no
thing is about,
cases.
it's about one word, and it always has been, and that
there
is
are no
power.
cases.
They want power.
No one has ever, not to my knowledge, and maybe I'm
in our
wrong.
elections. That's why they don't
no
care
one.
about the
I don't
fraud
even know
either,
if there's ever been
because
a
they need those votes
prosecution
as well.
of an
Thank you. I yield back.
illegal voting in a U.S.
I now
election.
recognize the gentlelady from Illinois, Ms. Ramirez, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Chairman. My mother, a Guatemalan immigrant and an American, taught me that I have the responsibility to look evil in the eye and to fight it back.
Good for her.
Mr. Lyon, Mr. Scott, Mr. Edlow, you have used your power to perpetrate great evil. And it's about time you answer this committee for the lawlessness that you've empowered and defended in your testimony. Mr. Lyons, I want to start with you. And I want to talk about ICE. Because under your leadership, ICE shot and killed Silverio Villegas Gonzalez and Renee Good, violated nearly 100 court orders in January alone. You've used banned chokeholds in more than 40 cases, engaged in warrantless arrests despite of a consent decree, and you used children as bait to put 3,800 children in detention. You created traps for people at immigration court who were following the law and doing it the legal way. And you broke the law by entering into people's homes without a judicial warrant in violation of the Fourth Amendment. Now, let's talk about you, Mr. Scott, and CBP next. Under your leadership, CBP has attempted to execute Marimar Martinez, shooting her 5 times and not releasing the footage that you should release so that we can see the evidence, murdered Alex Preddy, used chemical agents dozens of times in Chicago after a judge ordered you to stop, conducted warrantless surveillance and racial profiling, and acted with total disrespect and disregard for the law while engaging in roving patrols, plate switching, dangerous traffic maneuvers, and observer intimidation. Again, criminals act with that total disregard for the law, and we continue to see it. You would both have us talk about respect for your mission and your agents. But your agencies are unaccountable, paramilitary forces, and I have just as much respect for you as I do for the last white men who put on masks to terrorize communities of color.
Amen.
I have no respect for the inheritors of the Klan Hood and the Slave Patrol.
Good for you.
Those activities were immoral then.
Good for you.
And criminal, and so are yours. And that brings me to you, Mr. Edlow, and USCIS. Truly, USCIS is the most disappointing part of this whole panel for me. Mr. Edlow, let me ask you a question. Is USCIS's mission to uphold America's promise as a nation of welcome and possibility with fairness, integrity, and respect for all we serve? Yes or no? Is that the mission?
Congresswoman, the mission
Shut the fuck up
is
and answer
to
the question.
administer the
Yes or no,
lawful
you
Okay,
moron.
so let me move on. So it is not for the possibility of fairness, integrity, and respect. I get that. I want to tell you about
Good for her.
about Stephen, my constituent, Mr. Edlow. Stephen is a 14-year-old with autism who is seeking asylum. This child has spent 60 days in detention center after he was detained with his dad at a check-in. Let me ask you this. What kind of agency would strip asylum protections from children, even those with pending asylum claims, and deport minors without due process? You don't have to answer that. It's your agency, Mr. Edlow. You are doing that to Stephen, my constituent, an 8th grader. You have abandoned the mission and allowed USCIS to become a tool in DHS's abusive enforcement apparatus, Mr. Edlow. It is shameful to see what USCIS has become. As I've said before, DHS, ICE, and CBP, they're not really rogue. Congress designed DHS to violate our rights under the pretense of securing our safety. I'm going to say it loud and clear, and I'm proud to stand by what I say. DHS cannot be reformed. It must
Amen.
be dismantled, and something new must take its place. Because if we let DHS persist, it will continue to be a weapon that can be pointed at anyone the government considers the public enemy. And let me tell you, fascism always requires a public enemy. But the power of the people is stronger than the weapons they would wield against us. So, Mr. Lyons, Mr. Scott, Mr. Edlow, you have weaponized the government. You have supported a fascist enterprise at the expense of our constitutional rights. You have violated the law. But let me remind you, you will not always be in power. One day, you will be held accountable for your role in this dark moment in America, in our nation's history. I guarantee it. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Well said.
Gentlelady yields back.
Well said.
As I said, the issues we're debating here are important ones that members feel deeply about. While vigorous disagreement is part of the legislative process, members are reminded that we must adhere to established standards of decorum and debate. Witnesses are here today voluntarily, and I will continue to remind members that while oversight is important, aggressively attacking witnesses personally is inappropriate.
Fuck off. Honestly. You fucking weasel. Seriously, little putz. Oh my goodness. All right, guys. I do have to roll now. Thank you so much. I'm going to continue to listen. If you guys want to follow on your own, just go to C-SPAN, or MSNBC. Everybody's covering it right now. I would think. I'm going to continue to listen to it. I'll report on it throughout the day. I'll do some some subsequent posting for it, I hope. I love you guys. 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time, one live at a time. Thank you for sitting through this with me. It's a lot more bearable and tolerable when we're doing this together. Hang in there, guys, and we just got to keep grinding. We just got to keep grinding. We're going to get through this. I'll see you soon. Be well.